awfully proud of my team and excited about the opportunity to be here in Oklahoma City at the Sweet 16. And certainly we have a big test in front of us, but this time of year everybody's really good, and I'm excited about my group. I think we're playing well. We had a great weekend in Starkville. Tremendous atmosphere for our two ball games. Played two really good opponents, and so we know that coming in we've really got to deal with a well-coached Washington team. I've known Mike a long time. He and I go way back to our Arkansas days when we coached there back in '97 to 2003. He does a tremendous job. He's one of the great coaches in our country. I have to throw in he's one of the great young coaches as well because he's 10 years younger than me. But doing a great job, and obviously they've got Kelsey Plum, who's the all-time leading scorer in the history of our great game. So she's got pieces around her, I think, that really makes him unique and special. He does a lot of things with them. You know, I compare it to playing like against James Harden in the NBA. They run a lot of stuff that the Rockets run. I mean, they spread the floor. They play off of her. She's smart enough to find who's open, and those kids can make shots. And so you watch the other night against a really good Oklahoma team, another well-coached team, and I mean, they just really played well, scored over 100 points, and everything ran off of Kelsey, but it was a lot like watching the Houston Rockets play in my mind. And I'm a Rocket fan, so it's easy for me to compare, being a Houston boy. So it's easy for me to compare them, and that's a tall task, as everybody in the big league has found out. So, but really just excited again about the opportunity. So proud of our program. Where we are today and where we were 5 years ago. Proud of my fan base. I expect a big crowd from Mississippi State coming here to watch us play. And again, I got great kids, hardworking, determined, and obviously our league has prepared us for this moment. So I know I'm on a ramble, but you know, when you come from my league and you play the rival, we play 16 rival games every month for 2 months straight. And when you do that, it prepares you for this moment.
Okay, we'll take our first question on the left-hand side, about halfway back.
Hey, Coach.
Hey.
Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Two-parted question. Your guards, NCAA tournaments often when you need great guard play, and that seems like they've really come together, especially of late. So what's been your impression of them? And secondly, I know you hired Deanna a couple of years ago to coach that position. How has she impacted what they do?
Well, thank you, Jenny. And first of all, our guards have been really special all year. I mean, I think at our level, in our league, you win with great guard play. And certainly we're blessed with a couple of aircraft carriers down low that don't hurt you. But, you know, guard play has always been kind of our bread and butter, our base of everything we do, especially from a pressure defensive standpoint. And so we've got tremendous depth at guard, 2 at every position, and 3 at 1. And so that's probably where it starts for us. And those kids are playing well right now, especially offensively. You know, I think that's what everybody's seeing right now is that we've got some kids making shots, and that's what's been fun from an offensive standpoint with our group. As far as Deanna goes, you know, Deanna was, as is my entire staff, I feel like I have the best staff in the country. I mean, Johnny Harris has been with me since day one when we came to Mississippi State 5 years ago, and she's been so instrumental. She's got to be one of the top 5 assistants in the country. I mean, just going off of what's happened in the past 5 years, where we were, where we are today, and how important she is to our program, and how many things she does for our program. And again, she's in charge of our post players, and everybody wants to talk about how improved our post game is. Deanna was a home run as well. What she's done with our point guards, with Jazz and Morgan, that's her position that she handles, and she's done a tremendous job with those two, bringing them along. You know, I think everybody knew Morgan is pretty special. I think she's had a breakout season and really taken her game to another level as far as the points she's averaged. But I think Morgan Jazz has come on late, And that's been a project throughout the course of the year. She's just a sophomore, but Deanna spent some tireless days with her, just talking to her about the mental piece as well as the physical piece. That's what a good coach will do. It's, these post players, for instance, you drag people up and down the floor, you do the dirty work, you get the rebounds, then you sprint the floor and you're open and the guard doesn't give you the ball. Well, that's mentally hard on some people. Same thing with point guards. They get the blame for everything. And so I think Deanna's done a tremendous job with Morgan and Jazz from a coaching standpoint of bringing those kids along. She's a tireless worker, works hard in recruiting. I mean, she's a great coach. It was a home run, as my entire staff has been.
Question on the front
Coach
right.
Brian Brinkley, KFOR TV in Oklahoma City. Kind of a follow-up question about Deanna. First of all, your memories of her as a player when she was at OU in your early days at A&M. Second thing is, Deanna was kind of quiet as a player, didn't say a whole lot. I'm curious about how she's matured and progressed now as a coach now.
Well, I'll answer the second one first. She's very real, and I love that about her. She speaks her mind. And she has so many good things to say. I've walked out of team meetings with her before, patting her on the back, going, "Hey, that was a great comment. Our kids needed to hear that." And so I'm going to guess from that standpoint. I didn't know her from that side as a player, but maybe that's why she's so good with my point guards, because really both my point guards are quiet, and that's a bad position to be quiet at. So maybe she's seen and learned from her own experiences from hearing from probably Coach Cole for 4 years. You got to speak up. You got to have a presence about you. You got to run the team. Maybe that's an evolution for her that where she is today in her coaching career. So she's not quiet anymore, and that's a good thing. The first question.
Just about her as a player, your memories of her.
Oh yeah, no. Hey, she reminds me all the time about how she dominated us for 3 years. Now, I told her the first 2 years didn't count because we just weren't very good at A&M, and a lot of people dominated us. I think we got her one time her senior year, if I'm not mistaken, and I tend to want to talk about that game more than the other 6 that she probably beat us. So, but, she was a heck of a player, competitor, big, strong, physical point guard, hard to deal with, hard to handle. Whenever I get my head down a little bit, she reminds me of how miserable she was as a point guard at Oklahoma when we played her with our defense. And so she remembers those days. And again, I think as a competitor, she brings that to the table as a coach. And that's what I like about her. I call it that bulldog mentality, which happens to fit well at Mississippi State.
Question on the rear left.
Coach Andy Lee with WTVA in Tupelo. What did you learn from last year's experience, and how much have you drawn on that coming back to a Sweet 16?
Andy, I believe that good Lord makes you go through some things to help you prepare for the next opportunity. And certainly last year's experience at this time wasn't the best, but at the same time, I think our kids not only learned from that experience for this game, I think they learned from it the entire season. And so I think it's obviously prepared us. Again, you live in my league. You live with dealing with that, having to deal with the players we deal with, night in, night out, the coaches. So many Hall of Fame coaches. It's all that gets you ready. But I think certainly this time last year, what we dealt with going to Connecticut and having to play, I don't think it can do anything but help you get ready for this opportunity.
Question on the rear
Hey, Coach,
right.
Tom Ebel from WCBI Sports
Tom.
in Columbus. You already kind of compared her to James Harder. Playing Kelsey Plum in Washington is similar to the Houston Rockets. In your experience of coaching, have you ever seen any kind of comparison? I know the comparison game is overplayed, but anyone that kind of compares to Kelsey Plum or how she play, what you've
Tom-
seen from her?
Tom, actually, I had to go against Jackie Stiles 3 times at Arkansas. So I've got experience dealing with both of the latest 2 all-time leading scorers. So we had a couple of bad experiences with her and 1 good one. So I'm hoping tomorrow, in my only opportunity with her, we have a good one. But it's again, I think I deal with some pretty good ones throughout the course of our season and throughout my career in 32 years. Obviously, Jackie Stiles, Kelsey Plum, those are two of the best to ever play the game. And from an offensive standpoint, they are just so multidimensional. Their coaches use them in such a good way, smart, and so it's a tall task. There's no question about it. But to answer your question, I have some experience with that. Yes, sir.
We have a question in the middle front.
Hey Vic, Robbie Falk from Starkville Daily. I know a lot's been made about the starting lineups and changing things up, but how much did you feel like the 2-week break kind of helped reset the team and get them back focused, I guess, and starting the new season in the tournament?
Sure. Well, I think the 2 weeks certainly gave us an opportunity. One, I gave the kids 2 days off, which we desperately needed. And then even the third day, all we did was shoot. We didn't do anything else. So I think that kind of rejuvenated us a little bit. Then it also gave me a chance to work on some different things and some different combinations. Again, Robbie, a lot's been made of it, but the bottom line is those kids that made an impact starting have been making an impact coming off the bench all year. They've made big shots all year long. They just did it earlier in the game instead of later in the game. And that's really how we look at it. I mean, it's who's out there when we're jumping center, I don't think bothers any of our kids. I think they just want to win. And I give them a lot of credit for being that way, being unselfish, and just wanting what's best for our team. So the 2-week period, while I'm not a fan of it, I don't like it, but in this situation, in this circumstance, it probably worked out best for Mississippi State, no doubt about it.
This is the final question for Coach on the front left.
Logan Lowry, Tupelo Daily Journal. Obviously, a couple of Washington's players jump off the page with their statistics. How good is their supporting cast around them?
Well, the whole group is good. I mean, the whole team is good. Tremendous, tremendous. I think they're a tremendous basketball team. Obviously, they play in a great league also out in the Pac-12, and but their supporting cast, they know their roles and they execute it very well. And Mike puts them in a position where they can do what they do best, and that's all. We as coaches, that's our job, is to put our kids in the best spot possible, in the best place possible, where they can be successful. And I think that's what Mike's done with this team. So, those guys can all shoot it. Romeo can all shoot. They can shoot it. They've got kids that can do a number of different things and hurt you in different ways. And he puts them in the right spot to do it. So the challenge for us is in a 3-day period, try to figure it out and be prepared to deal with it. And I think my staff's done a tremendous job of getting us ready.